I've certainly had interactions and instances of where I felt I was experiencing something that, someone of another race would may not have experienced. And so an example of this is in my first year as an intern on my transplant rotation, there was a African-American family whose family member just had a kidney transplant surgery. So I go in with my white coat on, I introduce myself, hi, I'm Dr. Schultz-May, I'm here to assess so-and-so, and I do the exam and, I do all that. And then I walk out of the room and I hear the family then asking the nurse, when is the doctor gonna come and see the patient? So that's something I've kind of encountered. And even on the hospital staff side, there have been instances where I've come to assess a patient and they mistake me as part of the transport staff, or I'm the janitorial staff, or things like that. And I try not to take those things to heart because, like are beginning to identify, lack of representation in medicine is a real thing. And we look at the numbers, there are not a lot of Black urology residents throughout our whole nation. So for them, they're used to seeing that if someone is African American, they may be the transport staff, or so. I kind of take that, into account when I have these encounters. But that's something that I do experience on a pretty regular basis.
What do you think would be the best way to get around that? Is it just educating the patient or the staff, or how do you approach that?
Yeah, so whenever it does happen, I really just try to, I don't let it bother me. That's kind of my biggest thing, is that I'm not gonna let things like that bother me, and I will, correct them that no, I'm actually the urology resident. Hey, it's nice to meet you, and this is my name. And that's kind of how I approach it. And honestly, since I've progressed through my training, it happens less. It's only happened once with patients. It's mostly the staff, mostly the hospital staff. So, it's really a difficult question to address, but I try to do it one-on-one whenever that happens to me and not let it get to me.
I think barriers, being a Black woman, come up every day, all day. They don't just disappear, and they haven't disappeared now that I'm a medical student. I really think that it's just all about persistence and just ignoring the background noise, really, of what can feel like discouraging comments, disparaging actions toward, oneself. And so definitely have had to overcome a lot. It just negativity in terms of, I remember when I was first applying to medical school, and I told someone about it, and they said, I don't know if you're gonna be able to get in. And I was like, why not? And they were like, well, I have a friend and he's really smart and he can't even get in, so I don't know if you could get in. And I got into 10 medical schools, So I think just being persistent past that point of what you hear from others, but more importantly, what you tell yourself. And knowing sometimes that voice in your head isn't always correct. And if you can just get past that, then things will tend to work out.
Yeah, I have a very similar story, and I think a lot of us have walked the same roads where you have your own self-doubt. Can I do this? Am I smart enough? Can I get in? And you do have to have that persistence and really resilience to go through those challenges, whether it be your coursework or other challenges that you have to pursue that.
I wouldn't necessarily say adverse, but I would say more so eye-opening. It was when I was working at a urology practice down here in Metro Detroit, and a patient actually compared me to someone that was a drug user. They said I looked like a crackhead. And I guess it was because my shoes. I was wearing my scrubs, I was trying to take them to the room, but someone of my status as an African-American male in a city of Detroit, there's a stigma that you carry with you everywhere. And it followed me into the healthcare facility that I was trying to help that patient. They called me something outside my name, outside of my character. And it hurt because I just rattled off all that I've done. I got in med school in high school. I'm here doing a research fellowship at Henry Ford Hospital to advance the urologic care now and into the future. And I aspire to be a leader for the next generation, and to be called something so hurtful and so derogatory. It was a perspective I didn't have the opportunity to engage it as a child, because I was surrounded by people that tried to nurture me and take care of me. And again, they also looked like me. I was at that time 18, so really experiencing what the world can really throw at you.
That really can hurt a teenager at 18. I mean, Something similar happened to me, but by that time I was a resident, and it does hurt to be turned down as a physician when you're going to only do a minor procedure. And I got the information indirectly from one of the secretaries that this gentleman did not want a black person doing his prostate biopsy. And at that time, I told everybody in the department. They did back me up, and ultimately, this patient did back down, and we did the biopsy. I was able to give him his diagnosis. The point is do what you got to do, your job. Just continue to go forward.
When something's foreign, it's scary. Not everyone's as adventurous as, say, me or you. So when people see these unique circumstances or these unique individuals, it comes as an unintended threat to their safety and their comfort. And I think this is why this interview that we're doing is amazing, is that people are being exposed to, like, oh my gosh, these are aspiring and established African-American males that seek to do good, not harm. So when that patient has that thought of like, oh, they're gonna hurt me, say they find this video on YouTube when they're looking up for a patient information, they're like, this man actually cares.